Good morning, all. In today's lecture, we are going to discuss different types of the transportation system. So, in the previous lecture, we were discussing about what are the modes of the transportation, or what are the function of the transportation, what is transportation. Okay, in today's lecture, we are going in deep detail about how the different types of the transportation are used, and what are the advantages and what are the key parameters are going to considers. Okay, let's start with the land transportation. In the previous lecture we were discussing about what are the sub classification of the land transportation are available. So just take a fastest look on the land transportation: the pathways, the roadways, the tramways, and the railways. Okay, so in the roadways there are the two types of the vehicular transport as well as the non-vehicular transport, and in the railways there are the passenger trains and goods or freight trains. Okay, the first one is, what is a pathway? In the remote villages, forest and hilly areas, pathway are still an important among the different mode of the transport. It further be subdivided into the headloads is known as a human transport. It is used in the hilly areas where even animal cannot reach, and pack animals is also known as a animal transport. In an hilly regions, we know that in the local language, it's called the pithu. In that particular portion, the human are carried another human to reach to commute from one place to another place. So it is available in the hilly areas, or we will say that in an in Kedarnath or Badrinath, this type of the human transport are available as a head load. Okay, and pack animals, like the animal transportation, it used in the backward areas. The animal like horses, pony, donkeys, ass, buffaloes, camel, elephant, yak, sheep are used for this purpose. So the pathways and the sub classification head loads and pack animals are generally known in the are generally used in the forest as well as the hilly areas. Okay, so the next one is a roadway. The road transport is one of the most important mode of the transport. The history of road transport started from the ancient civilization. Okay, we all know that there are type of the road transportation in the Indus Valley road transport in the Indus Valley civilization, and the Greek road system or the methodology of the Greek roads are still much used in the current situation, because they are they have obtained the particular knowledge about the highway or the road construction, that how to build the road which are going to be to last like to the forevers. Okay, road transport is one of the most important mode of transport. The history of road transport started from the ancient civilization. In the Indus Valley civilization, we found that there are the different or proper type of road networks, and the street systems are available for carrying the people as well as good from the one place to another place. We all know that the Silk Route, have you guys heard about the Silk Route? The Silk Route is nothing but a road or a bridge which are connected from the eastern world to the western world. Okay, so in the Silk Route, it started with the India and ended in the Europe or in the Western countries. Okay, so the Silk Route is mainly mainly known for movement of goods like the silk and spices. The spices which are manufactured or obtained in the Eastern world, in like India, are going to transport to the Western world like the European countries. This is the oldest routes are which we are which were are identified, the Silk Route. And in the Silk Route, the silk which are produced in India are transported to the Western country for their commodities. So it is an started from the ancient civilization. Gradually, it becomes more and more popular means of transport. Road transport further subdivided into the vehicular transport, like cars, truck, buses, lorries, auto rickshaws, bullock cart, tonnages, tum-tums, and hand carts, etc. And non-vehicular transport like camels, animals like camel, dog, elephant, horses, mules, etc. So there are the two different types of the transport, subdivided into the two categories: the vehicular transport and the non-vehicular transport. Okay, so next one is a tramway. Tramway is one of the cheaper, longer, quicker, and safer mode of the land transport, which is suitable in the large city. As we know, in Kolkata, the tramway system are very much useful for reaching from one place to another place. So it is a cheaper, longer, quicker, and safer mode of land transport, which is suitable in large cities. However, due to the certain limitation like a slowness, huge investment, inflexibility, gradually it replaced by the other means of the land transport. So the tramways are old fashioned right now. So in the recent, we know that the BRTS, the metros, the hyperloops, and different types of the transportation system which are to be developed currently as well as in the near future. Okay, so tramways have the certain limitation like the slowness, huge investment, inflexibility in terms of that in the tramways the proper tracks are to be laid on the roads. So the modification of the routes and the extension of that particular routes are very costly and very hectic. So inflexibility are occurred. So due to that, the people are not using more frequently to reach their origin location to the destination location. So gradually it replaced by the other means of the land transport. The next one is a railways. Railways have been the pioneer of the modern mechanical transport. It has brought the greatest revolution of the transport. It accelerate commercial and and industrial development of the various countries. Until the introduction of the motor transport, railway has the monopoly as the land transport. Okay, so we all know that the railway plays a major role in the road transportation. So it is a more cheaper, and the carriage capacity or the capacity of the railway are much higher than any other mode of transportation. So it will have the monopoly in the road transport until the motor transportation are introduced. Okay, in India, it is a principal means of transport. It carries over 80% of the goods traffic and over 70% of the passenger traffic. Okay, so in India, the railway, as India has the second largest rail network available, and in the nearness or in the future year, the India has obtained or achieved the first largest rail network throughout the world. So it carries over 80% of the goods traffic and over 70% of the passenger traffic. It provides more than 60,000 kilometers of the railway all over the country. So there are the different types of the railways which are known, that the Kanyakumari to Jammu rail, which connected the northern northern point to the southern point. So there are the different types of the railway like the Rajdhani Karnavati. So it carries 70% of the passenger traffic as well as 80% of the goods traffic. Okay, so this is the different types of the road transportation. Okay, so the next one is the water transportation. Okay, the water transport is the cheapest and the oldest form of the transportation for heavy goods and bulk cargo. Okay, so it is the oldest form of transportation before the Silk Route. As we know in the Indus Valley civilization, the Lothal is the oldest oldest dock of the human history. So the Lothal, which is situated in the western part of the country and in the vicinity of the Ahmedabad region, so it is the oldest dock or harbor which are used by the people or by the humans. So water transport is the cheapest and the oldest form of the transport for the heavy goods and bulk cargo. Waterways are the natural gift, hence it does not require large amount of capital expenditure for the construction of road and the railway track, except the canal transport in case as in case of the land transport. Okay, so there are no requirement of the large amount of the capital cost of the construction of the roads and any other measures to fulfill the transportation. So waterways are the natural gifts, just the construction of the dock and the construction of the harbors are required, but it is a more cheaper rather than the construction of the road, and it is most cheaper than the air transport. Okay, so in addition to that, the cost of the running is also very less. Water transport may be classified as under inland waterways and ocean waterways, river, canal, coastal, overseas shipping, liner, passenger liner, cargo liner, tram, tank, and etc. Okay, so first one is inland waterways. Okay, inland waterways may be subdivided into the river transport. Rivers are the water highways given by the nature. River transport is suitable for the small boats and steamers. It was highly developed in the pre-railway days, but with the development of the railway, river transport was neglected and decayed gradually. Okay, so river transportation are kind of used when the railways are not introduced, or in the pre-railways days when the system of the railway or the mechanism of the railway are just in the planning phases. Okay, but the development of the railway, river transport was neglected and decayed gradually. So in India, river transportation, or as we say, inland transportation are not very much useful. So but in the foreign countries, the canal transportation and the river transportation are used, but not but due to the gradual time, it will be decayed slowly. So it is not very much useful. So second one is the canal transport. Canals are the artificial waterway constructed for the purpose of the navigation and the irrigation. So the canal transport are holds a very small amount of the shares in the transportation system. So there are the two different types of the inland waterways: river transport, and second one is a canal transport. Okay, second classification is the ocean transport. Ocean transport or shipping may be subdivided into the coastal shipping. Coastal shipping is a cheaper, speedy, flexible, and economical form of transport for the movement of the bulky and heavy cargoes. Usually, coastal shipping trade is reserved for the national shipping. In India, also from 1951 and onwards, the coastal shipping trade is extremely reserved for the national ship. Okay, so the coastal shipping is used for the national shipping, like moving one cargo from one place to another place. Like if any product are manufactured in the coastal area of the western part or in the Gujarat, so with the help of the coastal shipping, the finished product are carried from the western part to the eastern part, or for the to the southern part, with the help of the sea. So it is called is a coastal shipping. The second one is a overseas shipping. On the basis of that their working, overseas shipping may be divided into the linear, those ships which follow defined route with fixed place and fixed timetable; the trams, those ships which have not set routes and fixed timetable; and the oil tanker, special sea carries of crude oil in a very large quantity. Okay, the liners may again be subdivided in the passenger liner and the cargo liner. Okay, so in the overseas shipping, when any country are importing or exporting any goods, so the water transportation are plays a massive role, because it is a cheaper mode of transportation, and the heavy goods are to be transported with the help of that system. So there are the different types of the overseas shipping, like the liners, like the trams, and the oil tankers. So in the liners, maybe again divided into the passenger liners and the cargo liners. So we know that the passenger cruise or a cruise which are used for the passenger traveling from one country to another country, so it is fall into the liner category. And the cargo liners, which only carries a cargoes or bulky cargoes which are from one country to another country. Okay, So the next one is air transport. Air transport is a gift of the 20th century of the to the world. It is the latest mean of transport. The first flight of the air was made in the 1903 only for the 12 seconds. Successfully it was used as a means of transport after the First World War. The first air service was started in 1990 between the London and Paris. Since that, it made a notable progress and provided tough competition to railway. Air transport can again be subdivided into the passenger and cargo. Okay, so there are the two different types of the classification in the air transportation. The one is a passenger cargo, and the second one is a uh, passenger transportation, passenger air transportation, and cargo air transportation. Okay, so it is the most recent type of the transportation are to be carried, and it made a notable progress and provided tough competition to the railway. But railway is much cheaper than air transportation, and I think in case of hurriness or in case of emergencies, the air transportation plays a critical role for moving one particular for moving a passenger from one point to another point, or in case of war like situation, that providing a cargo from one place to another place in a quickly manner to help or to achieve something. So I think air transportation plays a massive role in the current situation or in the recent century. So there are the three different types of the transport: the land transport, the land transport, the water transport, as well as the air transport. Okay, so in the very next lecture, we are going to discuss the transportation system in India, or how the what are the crucial parameters are going to affect, and what are the GDPs it going to contribute in the country's wealth. So in the very next lecture, we are discussing about the various transportation in India, uh, transportation system are available in India and in the futureness or in the futureness. So if you have any queries regarding this content, you can simply message me or drop a message, and we will and I will definitely solve your query. So thank you so much, and we will see in the next lecture. Thank you so much.